One of the core and most important business ideas is market validation. So today's video, I'm going to walk you through my current process using ChatGPT to come up with potential SaaS ideas. As you can see, I have a very specific prompt that I use here. I can tailor it a little bit if I want to go into a specific industry, but I'm going to kind of walk you through why I have each piece of it and my thought process in putting it together. So essentially, I want it to be something I can build quickly in order to validate and test. So it needs to be able to be built fast and it needs to be tested quickly. Ideally, I can do the whole thing in a weekend. That's kind of the ideal. Doesn't always work that way, but that's the dream. I also want it to be in a space that already has competition. So if you know about kind of the classic product market fit strategies, you generally want to go into an industry that already has people willing to pay money. It shows that there's a need for products in that space. But I like to have a unique angle that makes it more fun for me to build. And if I get lots of ideas, maybe I build a couple of them and test them out. But the angle is the part that generally makes it exciting for me. I don't want to just build the same thing. I don't want another to-do app. I have my own flavors of those things, but I don't want something that's already been built a bunch of times. You probably don't either. So the goal is to try and spend some time in that unique flavor base. And it's also really important for it to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. What this means is that you want your actual app, the thing that you build, to be something that people need because they hurt, because they're frustrated, because they're wasting time. It's the same thing with like YouTube videos. The point of making a video is because people are struggling to come up with something. Usually people are, for this type of video, struggling to come up with ideas for a business. That's not shocking. People really have a hard time coming up with something creative. And often you may have a couple of, itches, your own ideas that you want to scratch based on your own problems. But the truth is that we often don't want to spend too much time in these kinds of spaces because what we want to make scratch our own itch isn't necessarily something we want to get paid for. One of the very first apps I ever built was for Magic the Gathering, and I didn't want anyone to pay me for it. I just wanted a way to categorize my cards and make decks 20 years ago. So I think it's important to have products that you make for yourself that are for your own itches, but also for things that you believe you can sell. And the next couple pieces are pretty self-explanatory, but I just want something that's very easy to implement technologically speaking. If I want to do a harder idea that's something I really care about, then I'll go into that. But for the most part, you don't want to spend too much time on the technology. You want, unless you're a very experienced developer and feel like that's the challenge that excites you about the product, you generally don't want to worry about that too much. And then I want to walk through kind of the core features, the main pieces that I want ChatGPT to spend the time really thinking about. That's the idea, but also the pieces of the idea and the order with which to build it, and what the scope looks like in order for us to test. So this last couple paragraphs that I have here are for that kind of language and to encourage ChatGPT to do its research in a way that I want it to. So I'm using deep research for this, and I intentionally put this in order. So I wanted to make this, if you don't know, the earlier things are in the context window, earlier things are in your chat that you're sending off to ChatGPT, the more likely they are to be paid attention to. So what they found in research is that the first couple of sentences tend to be the most valuable, and then the things that happen later are less valuable. They just aren't respected in the same way. So if you've ever posed a question at the end of your prompt and been like, why did it ignore my question? That's probably why. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to come back when this is done. It's about a third of the way and we're back. So it took about 12 minutes. I think it actually took more like 15. But I wanted to show you just how thorough these are. So the other method that I played with in the past that I actually really like is I have it pretend that it's part of a case competition, like a startup competition, and it has to come up with the best ideas that would win. And then you have it debate those different ideas so that it comes up with like a clear one or two winners. I think that's really fun, but this is a little bit more holistic and gives more of a variety. So you can kind of scan through this as we look through, but what I love is it'll have the idea, a little bit of like a pitch and why, and then it'll have like the core features. You can kind of see there's the next 10 features, there's the roadmap, there's the actual strategy. Yeah, this is okay. This I think it could do better. So what I would probably do is if I pick one or two of these ideas to validate that I think are good, I would actually ask ChatGPT to do a better job here and go a little deeper. So yeah, this is okay too. I think there's a few of these that already exist. Annual, yeah, this doesn't really do it for me. Um, Several of these exist already too. I don't think that's that useful. Several of these exist already, but this could be interesting. Is a maybe. Running task tracker for teams. Huh. Oh, this is kind of interesting. This actually is pretty interesting. A lot of businesses don't have manual service reminders, so I'm thinking like barber shops. You know how you can get text messages sometimes when you have like a doctor's appointment coming up. Um, Creating a system that could allow other service-based companies to do this is pretty cool. This one I actually see as something that could be a real product. And this is usually how it works, right? You go through these and one or two really jump out to you. And they feel like not only are they very easy to build, but they're pretty easy to validate too. Um, I'm enjoying kind of skimming through these, and I'm not going to go on with the last few because I think you kind of get the gist. The point is that you want to get your brain excited. You want to start lighting up some different ideas, and you want to use ChatGPT to help you get there. So if you can come away from an exercise like this with two ideas to potentially build, that's a couple of weekends worth of work. Maybe that's a month worth of work that you can try. Then you can come back based on how those did. So a lot of times what you'll find is an idea that you're really excited about and you think it's going to do great. It's hard to find those first customers. And maybe if you'd stuck with it, it'll end up being something that pays off more. I don't know. But my experience has been that the ideas that have legs, are able to take off quickly, are the ones that tend to do the best in the long run. There's just something about it where the problem that you're solving for ticks the boxes for enough people, then they're willing to actually spend money on it. So, it's kind of like the classic lemonade stand problem, where if it's raining and overcast, you're not going to do a very good job selling lemonade. But if it's very hot in a busy neighborhood in the middle of the summer, there's a very good chance you're going to sell lemonade. So you want to have a business idea that's the equivalent of that lemonade stand on the hot day. So if you have any questions, as always, please ask in the comments below. I love talking to you guys. And if there's anything else you'd like me to kind of work through, if there's any problems you're having, just hit the subscribe button and let me know. And I'll talk to you soon.